What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first official episode of the Lions Roundtable over here officially on Lions Roundtable. I was thrown off a bit because I forgot you need to have the blue check mark to go live on X. So the account that I hooked up did not work, but that's fine. We're here. We're live. It's gonna happen, man. The 53. This is actually the perfect episode to jump off with. King is the 53 or the 50-man roster, I guess, to react to. King, how are you tonight, man?
Man, I am confused but excited at the same time, man. 50-man roster right now. Who are those spots for is my biggest question. Where are we going? Some of the cuts that we made. It's just a lot of questions that need to be answered.
But the first thing that we have to hit on, because I guess this is just going around, is right here. And what are we looking at here? this, every show I've seen starts with this, so we can do the same.
Everybody is expecting the marriage between Za'Darius Smith and the Detroit Lions. It's just a matter of time, right? Let's hope.
It's
Let's hope.
amazing.
Let's hope we're right.
Congratulations, Za'Darius, man. He's been waiting for this moment, and I'm
Yeah.
just glad that it's gonna happen. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful what it does, because now we've laid we've laid it out there. We put the flowers and everything. He's got the path to walk down. It's beautiful. Path to walk down for Za'Darius is open, but there are a lot of wild moves that we made today. So I think we just go. I mean, you sent me the list of cuts, so I don't know if you want to go like straight through cuts or if you want to like talk about positional group, however you want to do it. But there's a lot to go into, so I think we
Let's
should
just
just
go
jump
to
right
the
in.
cuts, man. It is this full of cuts.
Let's pop those up. Oh, that's not it. Okay, let's go to this one. Here we go. This is the list of cuts. Um, this is crazy. I say we start with let's start with the injuries things real quick here. I mean, I guess we just get right to it. The Aman Hassan situation, probably the most confusing of
Yeah.
all of them. Wave with an injury settlement. Your thoughts?
Way with the injury settlement, what I've seen recently is that even with that situation, he could return after the settlement time is up. So that's still an option, still in the air for him to return.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, really? This is like cutthroat. Like we're that we're the cutthroat team now. So
Yeah.
yeah, it caught me off guard, but if it's a possibility he can come back once he gets, healthy and that settlement period is over, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's strange because they had their two return IR spots open. My thought is it's so significant that they're like, "Hey, dude, he's not going to help us in year one anyway, so we're not going to take a spot for that. We're going to need them all. Hopefully, we don't, but that's my guess. But it's still weird because, like, one, I don't like eliminating rookie contracts. I do hate that because now that 4 year just go out the window. Because unless we're going to keep bringing it back on like reserve deals, which it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen even assuming we get him back and then nobody else takes him when he becomes available off his injury settlement, that he's like, no, I'm going to the Lions only. Assuming that does happen, I don't like eliminating the rookie contract so early. And we did that by making this move. The only explanation to me, and it feels weird, is the number one, we want to leave all 8 of those spots open for guys on IR to return during the season. And the flip side is we're keeping, I don't know how to say this, like they're going in where do you think? Okay, let me ask this: do you think there's a path where they're looking at it as, "Hey, we'd like to get him back on the practice squad, not the active roster this year"? Do you think there's that thought going through their mind a little bit?
Um, I would think so. I would think so. I don't think you would, pull the bullets and, get rid of a guy with that small of a sample size. Somebody that you was actually kind of happy to go and get. So yeah, I mean, always the possibility of some type of way bringing him back. Is what crossed my mind. It was just surprising to see it for me.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird. I don't honestly, I don't know what to make of it. To be completely honest, I'm waiting for Brad to explain this one a little bit here. Do you think there's a world in which they looked at it as, "Hey, we thought we saw you"? Because to me, this is why it throws me off. They kept Dominic Lovett, and I'm fine with that. But I thought the reason they kept Dominic Lovett is because, hey, the issues that he had, we expected some of those. And I think the same way about Achman. It's like, all right, the good was the good. We expected the good. But the bad, I don't even want to call it the bad, but he wasn't a big pass rusher early, but that's okay. We understood that when we drafted him, it was going to take time for that. Could there be a world in which they were like, we expected more? Well, we got to see from you, we expected more, and we didn't get that. Do you think that's even on the table?
I don't think so. It's like I said, specifically for where he was drafted at. I don't think so. It would
Yeah.
kind of be foolish of them to think of him to take off like that. Where we drafted him at, and like I say, he hasn't even been playing football for that long. He obviously was a developmental piece from the beginning. So, yeah, like I said, I think they find some type of way to get him back to the team. I think it's just some maneuvering going on that's shocking us with a lot of these guys' names. But we just have to wait and see. We got to wait and
Mhm.
see.
Yeah, just hopefully he gets back. That's all I'm
Yeah,
at with it. Just like
yeah.
however it's gonna happen. I wouldn't have liked to run the risk there, but however he gets back. I guess the overarching thing that we should hit on before we go through all these is the idea to me is clearly they want 3 spots open so that
Mhm.
number 1, Za'Darius Smith resigns. That'll take 1. But number 2, because this is kind of the same deal with Dan Skipper. Like Dan Skipper, if they wanted him, they just would have kept him. Like they didn't. There was no need to be like, oh wait, we got to cut him that way we can get him back. I thought that was going to be the case when they initially cut him, but it was like they didn't have to do it. So if they wanted him, they could have kept him. I think it's still a fallback option for him, but I think it's clear the Lions wanted to make the roster better. And they have maybe targets out there where they're like, we're going to take our swing. We're late in terms of the claim order anyway. So there's a chance that we may not get the guys that we want, but we're going to have the spots open now. That way, when it comes around, we're going to place our claim. If we can make it happen, great. The spots will go to those guys. But if it doesn't, we have options and we can get some of these guys back, practice squad or the 53-man roster. I think that's clearly what they told us right here. And I think one position, for example, would be safety, where they're like, we got to get better. We think that there's better options out there. And I think the best example of this is Trevor Nowaski last year or 2 years ago, right? When they
Right,
brought in Trevor after the 53 cuts, and now he's here on a 53-man roster. They
right.
found him. They wanted that guy. And now looking back at it, it was a great move. I think that's the clear message they sent.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. There's like I said, there's something to the sauce. It's something definitely to the sauce. I think he's definitely somebody that you can see coming back in the future. And like I said, even with the skipper situation, it's just like you're right. It's if they wanted to keep him, they could have. Like, what could this possibly be if it was some type of back end to it? What is that? You know what I'm saying? It's always some type of thing that just pops out every single year that's just like, wow, what? So that's what it was, or this is what we were doing. But with Dan, let's be honest about it. As from a fan's perspective, it sucked to see that. It sucked to see that he's a long timer. He's been consistent at what he does for us, but then you kind of look at the youth movement that's kind of going on with the Lions right now on the back end of that too, because you got guys like Manu and certain guys that are developing, and so like I said, it's a big question mark for me. Brad Holmes is very interesting. He is very interesting in the way that he does things, and that's kind of the excitement right now for me because I can never put my finger on anything that he's doing,
Yep.
and when it pops out, it hits you. It hits you in the face.
So, okay, I want to go here because Dan Skipper's like one of those dudes that they could absolutely have the thing where it's like, hey, we're gonna get you back, and just wait. And I don't know if Dan Skipper's in a rush or anything. He's comfortable. I think like Dan Skipper seems to just love Detroit. Like he's gonna come back. But if they want him to, I do want to look at it like this though, because them keeping Jamarco Jones, of course they were gonna keep Manu, but Jamarco Jones makes me get to a point where it's like they may feel better off with this than Dan Skipper. Like they could believe, and I think there's an argument for it. I don't want to say it's great. I think there's an argument, which is what's Dan Skipper's role when we're healthy? Dan Skipper is our 6th offensive lineman. He has a certain small amount of packages we use him for, and that's it. They could say Jamarco Jones would be better in that role than Dan because Jamarco Jones plays both sides of the line. I would say it's clear Jamarco's a better run blocker. I think it's clear he's also a worse pass protector as of now. But they could say for that role, you're typically there to move people. Dan Skipper's not moving people like that. Go ahead.
Now, I did see on Twitter that Dan Skipper was consistently getting his behind kicked in camp this season. And, one of the things was exactly what you brought up with Jamarco is the ability in the run game and also the ability to just move overall better than Skipper can. So if that's the situation, I'm not mad at it. I mean, we're in the business to get better. Us as fans, we get attached to players. We fall in love with players. They feel like family members, being shipped out. But if we're in the business of trying to get through this tough schedule and get to the Super Bowl, we got to do what we got to do. And I think that's where Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are, collaborating, and that's what they're doing right now is trying to find any way possible to make the roster better and prepared to go into this tough season.
I mean, and that's a good point because it's hard as fans like to understand it. I think to an extent, also like to see a guy like that potentially that like, oh, this could be the end with Dan Skipper here. But to what you're saying is, I do always feel like for that role specifically, we could be better. Like I like Dan Skipper's ability for what he is when he starts for us. But as that sixth offensive line role, I never really loved him for that. But it was like, oh man, Dan Skipper. I mean, someone's got to do it, and he would do it, and it was great. And he'd play guard, but like it wasn't like he was good at guards. It was like he did it, but we can do better.
Right.
But I think what pulls this all together is if Dan Skipper is not brought back, and they're like, hey, we like what we have here with Jamarco as that role, it's Giovanni Manu. All of a sudden, he gets thrown into he might be the backup tackle right now. Like he played both sides of the line of scrimmage. The Lions tried him out on left tackle, right tackle. He, to what Detroit Sports Talk just said, he might be the swing tackle right now. And they could be looking at this as, hey, man, it's year 2. Last year was the growth year. We saw enough. It's to the point where maybe there is a slight gap with Dan, but there's enough here with Gio because to me, Giovanni Manu is more similar to Dan Skipper than he is with Jamarco.
Yeah.
Giovanni Manu also is not like an elite run blocker, but you're hoping he continues to grow there. But his pass protection is what we want to see the growth for. He's a good enough athlete to do it. There's flexibility now to do it where they're saying this is now the time where you put those shoes on, man. You are now the guy. This is why we drafted you. We have to take that step. At some point, the training wheels come off because if you are going to be a future part, you got to beat out Dan Skipper. And this may be in the point where it's like, hey, it's close enough. You're the guy over Dan Skipper. Let's go. That allows us to keep Jamarco Jones. Are you there with it? You want to agree?
Yeah.
Are you seeing something different?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. It's the only sensible thing I can think about out of it, unless you, like I said, unless there's some type of maneuvering we're doing. But that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And like I said, just for me watching that last game that Manu played, I was like, man, it looked like he's ready to be on the field in a backup type of role. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I can definitely get with that.
And that's the thing. I felt that way with the first preseason game and the last preseason game. It was I think it was Miami, where it's like, that wasn't great. But I mean, I don't know. And the thing is, Jamarco too is they only saw 2 games from him. So I think what you said about practice is very important because there's so much that goes on that we don't see specifically, unless you're there at camp, and even then you're still missing most of this, is practice and then reviewing the film of that because for him, he played 2 games. We didn't really see him that much, yet the Lions could have walked away and like, yo, that's just a better option. And there's so much of that we don't actually get to see. So that does need to be taken into account is the growth of that specifically. Let's go through these cuts, I guess. I mean, let's jump into, I guess, what's the surprises that are happening here. For me, it starts off right at the very top, which was Miles Adams. Now, I'm not shocked if they looked at it as, oh, we can get this guy back. Like we're not worried we can get this guy back. But I thought that he earned a spot. I guess to stay on that path though for interdefensive line, we talked about Broderick Martin. He was cut, and I would say for the guy, which is Chris Smith. Like Chris Smith was the choice. Smith. They chose Chris Smith over Broderick Martin. Thoughts on that? Crazy decision, wrong decision.
I mean, Smith was. I mean, he showed up on film a couple of times. So, like I said, I can get it. You know, and like I said, with practice, we didn't get to see as many practices because it's very, very difficult to get to camp.
To get there.
So,
yeah.
I could see that. I mean, but when you look at the other guys like Adams and some of the other names too, they had moments as well. So this is obviously just evaluation from the coaching staff saying, hey, we think this guy is a little bit better than the rest of those dudes. Like I said, I wasn't surprised when Broderick Martin got cut. I was not surprised whatsoever, even though we went over that one game where it looked like he was balling, man. He was getting up early, everything. But then we had other games during the preseason where it's like, okay, where is he? You know, say where's Broderick? So I think it was more about consistency in practice and in preseason. And I like I said, I don't have no arguments with that. If you feel like this is the best option, then I'm fine with that. Smith was pretty decent to me. So, like I said, these are rotational guys. I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, I like Chris, and I think the big thing that Chris has over those guys too is one, he was the guy last year. Like he beat out Broderick last year to the point where it was like, okay, I thought there was always a different path of those two. Where it's like if Broderick's going to stick, they're looking at him for an eventual starter. Well, now where he is within his contract, you got another year of DJ Reader. He's not the starter. And then you have all of a sudden Roy Lopez throws in. It's like, where is that path for him? If that's the goal where it's like he's going to be the starter eventually, maybe his time was last year and that was it. It was like, hey, you had your shot. It didn't happen. we're moving on because your contract just doesn't line up for that to be your role anymore going forward, unless we were to give you an extension. And for Chris Smith, it was never anything against Chris. Like Chris Smith was, I think, pretty consistent all games. We watched some plays of him. His issue for me last year was he just didn't make a lot of plays. It was like, Chris is going to be where he's supposed to be. He's not going to do a poor job. He's not going to get ran over, but he's not going to make a lot of plays. But this year he made a couple plays, and it was like, okay, now he's adding something. Chris is very young too. Don't forget, Chris is super young. And Chris, to me, what Broderick doesn't do well is move in terms of Broderick is going to play next to the center. You ask him to do more than that, you have a problem. Chris Smith actually can do that. Like, you're not going to get a lot of pass rush, but hey, that's not the vision for him anyway. But you can move him up and down the line. He is athletic enough to do it, and he plays fast enough where it's like, he's not going to be out of place here. So it was nothing never against Chris. It was just kind of believing into the hype of them buying into their young guy in Broderick. But I think it is understandable they kept Chris. That was never a crazy idea. And them doing it right now to me is not a crazy idea. And I'm actually on board with it. I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yep. Perfectly fine.
Well, let's keep it moving here. I mean, you can skip through this list specifically. King, is there something that stood out to you that we haven't talked about and we'll keep working through?
Tom Kennedy. No, I'm just playing. Tom Kennedy this is regular for Tom Kennedy. This happens all the time for him. But
it does.
Let's see.
Tom Kennedy,
man.
So no.
Matter of fact, before we even get into somebody surprising, let's just quickly mention it. Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker released. He's done. He's gone. It's kind of what everybody expected after the performances. It's unfortunate. I blame it on Tennessee. I blame it on Tennessee's offense. They bring quarterbacks in this league with a leg behind them. So, like I said, it's a whole different ball game in the NFL. Coming from that type of offense in Tennessee is just tough. It's tough, and he just couldn't adjust. He just couldn't get it done. And he just got outplayed. He had an opportunity. He's been around for a little while. We can't say he's been done a disservice. Even though we tried to argue about with the lineups he's being thrown out there with, he did have an opportunity to play with the better half of lineups, and he still didn't perform well. So, like I said, this was all on Hendon Hooker. It's unfortunate. You wanted to see him be successful just to have a different type of dimension at quarterback, but hey, it is what it is. He's done.
In my eyes too, and they may never have thought this way. I guess there was like I didn't really hear any of these things. Maybe you did, where people were, or there was comments of like, okay, he needs to change the scenery and stuff. Like, I don't assume people are lying. I guess Dan may have said that, and I just missed it.
Yeah, he said it.
Okay. I don't know when that was that before the last preseason game? Was that like in the middle of it?
No,
or was
that was actually after. That was he said that yesterday.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah, he said it yesterday.
Then that timeline lines up, because to me, for me, I was up until the last game thinking that this guy's still going to make the team. Like, as rough as it all was, I thought, and we said it, like, I thought, hey, if he gets those looks, he's going to earn this spot. And then he didn't. To my eyes, he just didn't. It was like there just wasn't enough there, and it was still bad, too many bad. And it was the accuracy, man. Ultimately, like, as inefficient as I thought that he would be when he got under pressure, and he, he's like, all right, I don't know if I trust him a ton in those spots. But he just wasn't consistently accurate either. And that's a problem, because I thought that was such a calling card for him, right? It was like he's going to have that ability. We know he can just absolutely rocket the ball down the field, but it was those second level throws all out preseason. It doomed him, man. Everything was 15 yards over somebody's head, it felt like. And it's like, it's just not improving. And that was an issue last preseason, as awesome as it was. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what did it in for him. That last game did it in for him. You know what I'm saying? Being accurate like that, the last game, this is your last hoorah and your last opportunity to go out here and show yourself. And you go out there and overthrow guys, and it was just bad, man. You can't argue with the performance. This is you have to produce in this league, and if you can't do that, then you're gonna find yourself on the couch watching football. So it'll be interesting to see if somebody picks him up, just to throw him on the roster or something like that. But yeah, good luck to Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, man, it sucks, man. Oh yeah, this is tragic. Like, I wanted to see this connect, and I don't see it. I mean, like, it sounds more worse than it does, I guess. But I don't know. But it's like, this is probably the end of Hendon as a Lion for good.
Right.
And that sucks. Like, just straight up, bro. Like, I hate that idea. I never thought we'd get here. I didn't think this was even on the table. And after last year's preseason, it would have been crazy to try to explain to me that there would be a path where it's like, hey, this guy, he won't be here next year. Like, no way, dude. Last year's
Yeah.
preseason was so good. He earned the backup role. And I didn't think Nate Sudfeld was that bad where it's like, okay, that's whoever. I mean, Kyle Allen did his thing. But it's like, he tell me he at least does it. I mean, he's going to at least make the team.
Right.
Man, that's crazy. But to
But-
your point, Dan always does say when the lights come on, that is something different. And I think especially at quarterback, like you got to show it because that's when you're playing. It's like your quarterback is one of those spots where it's like, bro, you're never going to really be prepared in the sense of like, there's always going to be something. If you're in the game, there's always going to be something that's wrong. But at the same time, on top of that is there's never an exact moment that you're like, oh, hey, we're ready for a backup quarterback this week. It's like, no, that's the backup has to stay ready. It's going to be in the worst situation. You're going to be thrown into the game with no expectation whatsoever. And we need you to steady the ship. And that's the one thing that Hendon didn't show that he would do is steady the ship.
Another thing that I just didn't see from him, I didn't see that command as a quarterback. Like, you know,
very good.
as
Yeah.
a quarterback, you know what I'm saying? You just didn't see that with him. It was more like the guy just out here calling plays and telling us what to do, and that's it. I didn't see the command. I didn't see him grabbing guys saying, go here, do this, whatever. I just didn't see that from him. You know what I'm saying? And I question the fact that he even has that because, like I said, in Tennessee, that offense runs on its own. You don't have to be that guy.
That's true.
They just flow off of you and what you do. So, like I said, I wonder if that's even there. But yeah, it sucks, man. It just I was expecting him to at least, you know, be a solid backup like Teddy Bridgewater type of guy for us one day. You know what I'm saying? So it sucks. It absolutely sucks.
And it feels similar to potentially the tackle thing where it's like it's now Giovanni, like, let's go. Broderick Martin. Hey, bro, the timeline just doesn't line up anymore. Like at some point, this had to happen, and it just didn't. Hendon Hooker's timeline was just running out. It was like it's just not here. Go ahead.
I do have an interesting question to ask you in the middle of this because
Ooh,
I was
okay.
thinking about it today. So we know Rodrigo is coming off an injury, right?
Yes.
Any type of setbacks or any type of issues with coming back from that injury, do you think a guy like Stewart eventually takes his spot?
That's interesting. Like there's a path where he plays like well enough, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the guy now. Because
Yeah.
he does play all special teams. I don't even like you saying that.
And man, come on, we love Rodrigo, you know what I'm saying? But I thought about that today, like, he's coming off an injury. This guy plays similar to Rodrigo. He tries to tackle everything out there. I think Rodrigo's probably a little bit, you know, smart or a little bit more witted when it comes to knowing where to be. But I mean, he's young. He has time to learn too, you know what I'm saying? And this guy has the speed and the athleticism, and he plays special teams too. So yeah, I was just thinking about that.
So are you asking? I mean, I don't say are you asking, but like, are you thinking about this more as taking a spot this year or more as like?
No, not this year.
Okay, so then that's yeah, I think that's on
Yeah.
the table
Yeah.
because the value of Malcolm to me is like, I thought there's a world where he's our starter next year. Like I think, and I don't think that's still not possible. Like I think that's still on the table, but it now kind of just, and it's a good problem. It is. It now just adds another guy to that mix where it's like, hey, next year we're trying to figure out what are we doing with Alex because still not convinced that's going to happen that he comes back. Could happen. I'm just not still convinced that it feels like if anything, it's going to be like a 1 year kind of thing as we roll forward here. At most, somehow he could get a 2 year deal. But Malcolm could have been that guy that like, oh man, well, he surprised us, but like, oh, he's the guy now. Grant has at least thrown himself into that where it's like, hey, he could be that. And I think of Grant as at worst, he could potentially be our Chris Smith. And it's like nothing wrong with that.
Bingo.
Where he's the new Chris Smith, and he's the guy. It's like, hey, we really like him as our backup linebacker. He's not going anywhere. He's going to stick around. And that's always what he's going to be. He may never be the starter, but he's always going to be around, and he's always going to give us flexibility.
Chris Smith, Craig Reynolds type of guy.
Chris Smith, Craig Reynolds. He's the new one. He's now past that.
Yeah.
He passed the torch to him. Potentially, that could be what's happening here. Yeah, I think that's on the table. I think it's on the table, man. Chris Smith has all to gain this year. You know what I mean? Like he's it's all in front of him this year. Now it's a hard room to kind of climb up in, but I think that he's one of those guys where he could play very little and be back next year. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to do much this year, and they could, at very least, they're going to throw him back into camp next year, like a Tom Kennedy. He's going to be back at it to compete again because of special teams, because they value that too much to just throw it away. And clearly, they love the way that he played. I mean, dude fumbled, and they went right back to him.
Right
And then
back
he
to him.
fumbled, and we I don't know. I don't think you were there, but the one day I got there at training, I was there for the Houston day. Very first kickoff, I'm watching him. He fumbles. Then he gets into the game and he fumbles again, right? It's like, okay, dude, they keep putting him back there though. Like, this is crazy.
You
don't
mean,
get
if you're gonna let somebody get him out, then this is the time to do it during training camp and preseason. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, it's just like drop passes. Well, those are turnovers, but still, it's like, okay, we gonna keep giving you opportunity. Let's see if you can clean this up. We'll see if you can improve. You learn from your mistakes because, like I said, man, even when you look at guys like Lovett, man, he drops the ball, but J-Mo dropped the ball too when we first drafted him. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, you got to give those guys that opportunity to mess up in the preseason and training camp and see if they can learn from it and clean things up.
And there's also then has to be something that they love about him too. You know what I mean? There is something that's
to
what you're saying. Like, there's something that's still, because it's like, if that's just that and it's like, everything else is kind of whatever, dude, you don't have a leash, man. But there's other things that we do love about you where it's like that we can overlook that. You know what I mean? It's all right, dude. We're gonna make it work. Okay, let's go to that then, because Dominic Lovett made the team. Jackson Meeks did not. Jackson Meeks may be back. I think it's very clear. Yeah, if he doesn't get claimed, which I'm not confident that he won't. If he doesn't, he's gonna be back. I'm sure they're gonna get him back. But let's, whatever that turns into, did they make the right decision in your eyes? I'm curious on that.
No.
Okay. And I thought you would say that based on what we've
There's no way I'm picking Lovett over Meeks, man. I'm sorry. I don't care if you love him. I'm not picking him over Meeks, man. Meeks he earned it. He earned it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody saw it. He earned it. It's the wrong move for me. But if you're Brad, now here's the thing. You're Brad Holmes. Now, this is one of his calling cards. He is very, very confident when it comes to these things, when it comes to getting guys to get back on the practice squad. I trust him there. He hasn't left. He has not let me down yet. So I trust him there.
He has one.
But if he feels like he can get a guy back through the practice squad, I'm leaving it alone. But from a talent standpoint, no, wrong move.
Wow.
Wrong move.
See, and this is why the Ahmed thing's weird to me.
Yeah.
Because and obviously the injury just throws a wrench in all of this. He wasn't hurt, he'd be here. If he wasn't hurt, he wouldn't have got cut. I don't think there's a chance that happens. So he's in a slightly different boat here, but it's kind of the same thought that I had. And I'm still kind of, I would have went this route too. But for me, it is that it's more the long-term vision that I'm taking towards it, where it's like, okay, keep him on that 4-year deal. Now, next, I almost look at it like this, and I feel like saying this almost feels like you're giving a player like what would the word be? Like you're giving him like a nod that he shouldn't get just because you drafted him. What would the word be for that? Like, I think it comes off that way when I say it like this. I look at him as next year you're on the bubble. And I feel like it sounds like I'm giving him a pass, but I think that's kind of the reality of what they drafted is, if they're looking at it like I am, and they may not be, but the way I look, and they may have felt like, oh, this guy was a dog. What are you talking about? Because, OTAs, I guess we're good from everything we heard. And then I remember the early practices was like, yo, Lovett's dominant. Like, this guy's cooking. And then, the preseason games, he had some drops in there. So they may have just felt that way alone. But for the way that I'm looking at as this is long-term. And I think the long-term outlook as you have to kind of overlook some of these knocks, because at very least he's showing you the good that he had at Georgia. Right. And then next year, these got to be cleaned up, because you don't have a Jameson Williams kind of, it's not going to take time. It better be there next year. Yeah. Or if we call it in week 9, it better be there. We can't drop it, because that will be cut short. But as of now, we're willing to overlook a little bit of it.
Yeah, if you're eventually going to come a backup for us, man, and, a future slot merchant for us, then you got to be able to catch the ball.
And you know what, though? Because this is something that you said right at the beginning, and I think it carries over really well. You said youth movement.
Yeah.
This is absolutely that at receiver. So there's also that reality to it as well. Like, where I think there's a, Jamarcus Jones 29. There's not really a big gap between him and Dan, but Giovanni, yes.
Mhm.
But for this position group specifically, if you are going to tell I think they said this before they got into the draft. Maybe it was after, where they were like, "Oh, we want to get younger receiver." Well, if you're going to lay that out, that's your mindset going in, it's hard to then turn around and cut the guy when it's like, "Oh, the bad things in college showed up." It's like, all right, well, hold up. If you're going after getting younger, you can't be that.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't be that quick to be like, "Yeah, that's a problem," or he's out of here. Like, you got to give him a little bit of a leash because Khalif was undrafted. It took a while. I'm not saying he's Khalif, but if there's going to be a guy that he's going to replace, it's that guy. I mean, it just
Yeah.
is. That's why they took him. I think it's very clear.
I can definitely get with that. He's gonna have to, like I said, it's next season. This can't be this way. We can't have another Eric Ebron situation going on to
Hey, at least he
where
wasn't a first-round pick. My
right, you know what I'm saying?
Now we have a problem. Yes, yes. Now
we can't
problem.
have you coming in here. We knew you had some catch problems. Then you keep having catch problems. You got to clean that up, buddy. You got to get what Amon-Ra St. Brown. You should be stuck to his hip. Show me the way. Him. Hey, your rookie buddy. You should be staying at Tesla's apartment. Like, what do you do to work on catching, bro? That's where it's at for me. Because, like I said, that is my only gripe with you. Is dropping the football, especially on bigger play. And you can't let guys take the ball out your hand. Ball security.
Yeah, that's a problem.
You know what I'm saying?
That was not beautiful. Yeah.
It
hurt Hendon, man. You got to live with that. You did that. Hendon's big play is gone because of you. So that's you deal with that. But you're exactly right. And it's that's feels like this is where it's going. I want to answer Eric what he's saying here, because I guess we touched on one, but not this one. My bad. The Miles Frazier thing. So the explanation of all of these guys is him, Malcolm, Aleem, Josh. None of them participated in training camp. None of them were available going into training camp. So because of that reason, the fine print says 4 games. You're out 4 games, and then you can come back because you didn't participate at all. Ahmed's the goofy one because he was available, and then he got hurt during camp. So I think that's, kind of sums it up. But yeah, I think they're all going to be on different timelines, but Miles Frazier falls directly into that. So y'all, you know what? You did this to me. Okay. Actually, I'm going to, not you, but I'm going to blame the people that were in our chats. They were like, "Where's Miles Frazier?" I'm like, "Oh man, you're right. We got to put him on 53. Okay. Yeah. Let's put him on there." And now I'm thinking he's got to be on the 53. No, he did it. Okay. We had it.
Right.
Whoever said that, man. Now you got to deal with that. Now he has to deal with that thought that he did that to me. Other cuts here. I don't know. Like, I feel like not a lot of these are like, so it sounds bad. It's like, oh, none of them. I'm not surprised by anything, but it's like, yeah, but your 53 didn't look like this. But ultimately, like, I think even the guys that didn't make the team that we thought would, it's like, okay, those are all understandable. I would say, go ahead. Yeah.
I was about to say, what about Nate Lynn? Did that surprise you?
Nate Lynn, probably the biggest. Yes. I thought they'd keep Nate. I thought they would.
Yeah.
See, this is one of this and safety are the 2 spots where my thought is, like I could understand like there's a case, because I thought maybe Ook was in play now, like if that's the case, and then it was like, oh no, he's not making it either.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of those other spots where Za'Darius is going to sign, so we know that's going to happen. But outside of that, I think they're going to take their swings of like maybe there's another edge out there that they liked, or some sort of defense lineman just in general where they liked him from another team and they had their eyes on him and he's going to hit the waiver and the Lions are going to put a claim in. And maybe it's possible they're like, that makes us better. Like, I think that's fair.
That's what a lot of fans fail to realize, that, yeah, we are in camp and we're in a preseason, but at the same time, they're not just reviewing us. They're reviewing guys from other teams too, looking at their performances, the reports out of practice and things like that. So I think it's definitely, I still think, obviously with Za'Darius, but I think it's definitely other players too that we've looked at and that we might possibly bring. That'll make a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? But Lynn it surprised me. I felt like he was consistent. I felt like he did a good enough job to make the team. Yeah, that was a little surprising for me.
You know what this makes me think of too is maybe they took this from last year, and because like what Dan said, and it was people like, oh, I mean, not us, but other people outside the lines were like, oh, that's crazy. You can't think your roster is the best as it's been. You're crazy. But he said that, and this kind of move makes me think of the situation that we went through last year, where it was like the battle of James Houston, and I can't even think who the other guy was at the time. Matthew Betts. It was like that. We had these guys battling, and it was like, someone just do something. And it was like, okay, we like the ability to play the run. That's kind of our thing. But, if you can rush the passer well enough, we're going to find a spot. That's enough. And I wonder if after last year, where they're like, you know what, we thought that made sense, and it didn't. So this year, we kind of just pulled the Band-Aid off. It's like, you know what, that's not going to be okay this year.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not where it's going to start, you're not going to make the team. It's like, we'll get you back on the practice squad if we can. And if we can't, we'll move on. I just feel like after last year, there may have been they just may not be okay with it. And I think that's all the way back to the point that you brought up from the beginning of, we like these guys, but you can learn from what you did in the past. And it's kind of like we're doing now with Jamarco over Dan Skipper kind of deal potentially, where it just isn't enough anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We gotta grow as a team as well, and how we're
Yeah.
doing this. And we may have just learned, like, yeah, that wasn't enough. We need to
Different expectations now. Like I said, different. I mean, the expectation was always to make it to the Super Bowl, but this season, like I said, when Dan Campbell said something like that, um, I believe him just based off of what we're seeing right now. I just feel like we left them spots open for a reason. That these guys, hey, if you get a chance, like you said, to make it to the practice squad, fine. But we want to go out here and see what type of veterans we can pull. You know what I'm saying? Or some of these other guys that we can pull that might be a little bit more talented, a little bit more than what we need going into the season as far as depth, because that's been consistent out of Dan Campbell's mouth the entire time of training camp is depth. Talking about the injury situation and what they went through last season, we cannot suffer that amount of attrition again. You have to be ready, especially with the haul that we're getting ready to go to, which is another thing I wanted to bring up real quick, because we look at the schedule. The schedule is tough. But I think we have like 13. I believe I heard it was 13 of the little mini breaks where the Lions get kind of an extra day to prepare for teams. So that's
Mhm.
huge. That's a lot. That doesn't happen every day in the league. So
Yeah.
that kind of helps with the schedule. Um, but if you going through that gauntlet like that, man, and we got a lot of tough road games too. Even though we're pretty solid on the road, you have to go out and get the best players available. And if you got a 50-man roster right now, and I'm saying, hey, these last 3 spots, we're gonna go out here and see what we can do. That makes perfect sense for Brad Holmes to do. And then whoever is, like I said, whoever is on the back end makes a practice squad, fine. We got guys on the practice squad we can, take a look at. So it is what it is.
Because like, I think about him in that category as, what was like let's take Nate Lynn for example, because I thought they'd keep him too, but let's look through the lens of, what was Nate Lynn's role going to be this year? Like, we're keeping him for what? The role is, in my eyes, very clearly, like, he's a potential sub package rusher. Like, that's why he's here. He's pass rushing, because I don't think he put it out there, at least not nearly consistent enough, as he brings anything more than that. Special teams, maybe a little bit, but he's not really doing enough against the run. So his role is, you're going to rush the passer. And if that's the way that we're looking at it, as there's that, I think they also were maybe more critical as well of, yeah, he was winning, but even TJ Lang and those guys in the booth were saying it. It took way too darn long. I got to be honest. Like, this
Yeah,
dude won
yeah,
and the
yeah,
stats look good, but bro, this can't happen in the second half. You're
yeah.
in a preseason game, dog. You're going to be playing NFL tackles. It can't take that long. You need to give me something, because your
Something.
game before, you gave me nothing. This game, I'm waiting a halftime before the third string. Then it's like, oh, now he's cooking. That's not enough. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because it's like, if you're in it, we can pull them up, but if you're watching some of the wins that he had, it's like, that's nice. But the way that he's winning, I mean,
Mhm.
in all honesty to yourself, and it's not that I'm saying like, oh, okay, this is obviously, I knew this because I thought he'd make it. But I could see them, after the last year thing of keeping James Houston, where they're saying to themselves, hey, man, the way that you're beating some of these tackles will not happen in the NFL. We can tell by looking at it. That's not going to translate. Go ahead.
Here's the distinction, right? Because this is why I always say you got to keep that grain of salt when it comes to preseason. Somebody's doing this and that in the preseason. You got to think about it. They're not out there against starters. They're not out there against the other team's best. Practice, to me, the reports coming out of practice, to me, are just as important, if not a little bit more important, than a preseason game. Why? Because you're going up against starters. And when I say practice, I'm not just talking about our team. I'm talking about the joint practices.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? You're going up against the other team's best. You're actually going against them. Lynn's name is not one that came up, you know what I'm saying, too often when it comes to practices. So it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. When we look at joint practices and guys that were torching their number ones, number nine, those are guys' names that we usually heard. And for the small little limited times that you've seen guys like Tesla get up there and get an opportunity to go out there with some ones and produce, that's encouraging. But when it comes to you playing second and third string guys, and it takes you a little while to produce, it's like, what are we really talking about here? You know what I'm saying? So exactly what you said, that makes perfect sense, man.
And Houston at least, and to what I think Eric is saying here, Houston at least had put that on film. And, in the regular season in the past, where it's like, well, when we did need you, we did see that you could beat NFL tackles. We at very least had something to grab onto. Nate, we didn't. We never had that. So it's like, this has to be sooner. And like I said, even the wins that he had, like I remember there was one specific plays in my mind. And I remember him beating the tackle so fast. It was one of those sacks or the ones he got in before half. It was like on that last drive. And when you watched it, you're like, he didn't really do anything there. It's like he ran past it. But, it's like he cooked that man. But I'm watching like, man, that's not going to work. No, like I'm just watching. It's like, the tackle didn't really do anything. And that's just not going to happen. It just won't be a thing. So I'm not mad at them being harsher on themselves.
I'm glad you brought up that point because you made me retract my statement. Now I'm not surprised about Lynn at all. I think about it. I'm not surprised at all. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, man, because like I said, that is very, very true, man. When you think about it, I look for the reports out of joint practices. That's why joint practice is why you see all the other ex-Lions players and everybody comes out for joint practice because they know what this is. You know what I'm saying? When you going up against teammates all the time, you used to them. Y'all ain't really going at each other like that. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah, we had some chippy moments in practice where they had to slow things down, but that was for the guys trying to make the team. They had to get, and say, hey, calm down a little bit. But in joint practice, that's where you turn it up. That's where those fights are for a reason. You turn it up, bro. Like this is the first taste of football I get for the season. I want to show everybody, what I've been working on, how improved I am, and how dominant I am. That's why I said when I seen, guys like Hutch doing what he does, it made me a lot more comfortable to say that he's better. I mean, not better, but the same, if not better, than he was last season, especially during camp. Yep. So, like I said, that changes everything. But preseason is just totally different, man. And it's why I kept saying I want a veteran as a backup quarterback right now. Allen was impressive for what he did, but I've seen him throw some passes on some blown plays and get a touchdown. I've seen one of the games where he had a really nice percentage. He was throwing under passes, you know what I'm saying, that game. And then, like I said, you had 2 big passes to Tesla this preseason. A lot of those was Tesla. Tesla is incredible. A lot of those were Tesla. You threw the ball, you got it where it needed to be, but Tesla's catch radius is pretty large because
but that last dot,
it was a dime. It was a dime. But see, this is what I'm saying. Hendon Hooker threw a dime.
Well,
it got snatched.
Hey, love it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he dropped it in the basket. That happens every so often. But is Allen really going to be like that against starters? You know what I'm saying? Against starting level DB who know how to trick you, who know how to take advantage of you, who knows how to sniff out what you're doing. You're not going to get out there and run around all willy-nilly against starters. Like I said, I'm not confident with that. The preseason is not enough for me to say you're just QB2. I need to see at least something against some starters. And none of the teams that we played their starters. So I don't like it.
Okay.
I need a veteran.
This is interesting. And I want to add something, and then I want to go back to that because to what you said at the early was it makes me think of Keith Cooper. Like all the preseason games, you gave me all those. I'm like, yeah, there's no shot. Like, what are we talking about? And all the love they were giving him, like, I don't see it. Like, I don't know what people are talking about here. But we kept seeing in practice, it was like, yeah, they like this guy. So
Yeah.
clearly there's a lot there that just wasn't there that they bought into. Because I remember that Houston game, which would have been the Houston practice I went to, was the last training camp practice. And I remember that, and I'm like, man, he's repping in with the ones. I'm like, I don't understand where this is coming from. But that told you everything you need to know of like, okay, they see it in practice. There is
Right.
much more there that they're buying into. At least there's a growth level there they're buying into. Not to the point where it's like, yeah, he had to make the big three, and I don't know why he didn't. But it's like that tells you how much value they put on that specifically. But to the quarterback spot, we're going to be on two different sides here, I think, ultimately, because I am more comfortable with Kyle. And
Yeah.
I think I just was more impressed with like the back end. I mean, the first game was rough. And to your point, there was a vet that made him make a terrible decision and picked it
Yeah.
off in the end zone. There is an example of exactly what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
But I feel better with Kyle. But I will say, I think part of the reason they kept 3 spots open could be for adding a quarterback. And my look at it is going to be different than yours because I look at it as I thought they may go the youth route. I thought there's a very real chance that after releasing Hendon, and obviously Teddy's not out there anymore, it stinks, but after releasing Hendon, where they're like Kyle McCord, maybe some
Yeah.
other name. I mean, that's the
Young
one that everybody
quarterback.
knows, but there's other names where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, the guys for the waiver wire, we want to go young. We're going to
Right.
take our swing on a young guy and just see if we can make it happen. That's going to be our
Huh.
swing. Now, you seem to look at more of the vet side, but that's where I'm at.
Huh. Now here's the reason why I say that, right? This is
Yep.
this is the reason why I say veteran, because when you look at it, even though Hendon Hooker did what he did, we brung in Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
It's the status of the team that I'm looking at and what we're trying to do. If we're going on a Super Bowl run, we're all chips in right now.
Mm-hmm.
All chips in. It's Super Bowl or bust right now in the mentality of that team. If we're going all in, I don't know if I'm comfortable with Allen being number 2. You know what I'm saying? I think I might want a veteran that's been in the playoffs, maybe, that's been there before in
It
big
sounds
game
like you got a
situations.
name in mind,
I
King.
don't
You
have a
got
name
someone?
per se.
Okay. That's real specific. You're like about to break it down and give me a name there. I needed something.
I
You're
don't know
like,
a name.
these
I'm not gonna say a
requirements,
name, but
man. Can't have
somebody that's
requirements.
been in big moments. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Somebody that's been in big moments, somebody that wouldn't wither in those type of situations, man. Because we don't have if Jared Goff, say for instance, I'm not saying get out for the season, but say if he twists his ankle one game, we need somebody to come in. You know what I'm saying? Or he tweaks his ankle. I don't know if Allen's going to be the guy to come in that's going to help you win the game. I
That's
just
fair.
don't.
That's fair.
So,
Yeah, I think that's fair. But
yeah.
and now we're doing this. I mean, we're here. So let's do it. Because we've seen this happen.
Yeah.
There's names that come to mind for me, but I think of. Do you think it's more likely that I don't say more likely, but do you think it's on the table that the Lions are then thinking about? I don't know, Jameis Winston, like guys like that, where it's like, hey, we've seen guys get. I mean, Kenny Pickett got traded because of an injury. Where
Right.
maybe do you think there's more of that that's on the table, where it's like, hey, we are willing to give up a draft pick? I mean, this is crazy, but could they be like, hey, man, I know you signed Teddy.
Yeah.
We got a 6th-round pick with your name written all over it. Bring him back. Let him have his back. That's a free pick for you. We'll do it.
Like I said, even though Dan Campbell said, I'm a little bit more comfortable with Allen and this and that, I still think if I'm Brad Holmes, I'm like, bro, I got to go get something. You know what I'm saying? I got to get something because I don't think this is the guy that's going to step in and stop the bleeding. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think we can possibly make some type of small little move or try to wait around and see if we can find somebody on the whole hum and get them here just to have them on that roster for that third quarterback spot. Because having Allen and Hendon is redundant, but going to get a veteran makes more sense if you're going to carry 3 quarterbacks. And like I said, we sitting here with 50 on the roster right now. I wouldn't be surprised at all. At all. Nobody expected us to get to this day and have 50 on the roster. Nobody. We knew for a fact we were going to at least have 52, maybe,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of
Yep.
Za'Darius, right? But 50, it's like, okay, yeah, we go get Za'Darius. Who the other 2 spots for?
See, this is why this is kind of why, because I thought like, oh, well, that one year we traded for Benson. So like that would make sense. They are very willing to throw a pick, but they did that to make it happen before they got to the. They were like, let's cut all that out. We're gonna make sure we get this guy. Well, now that's kind of not a thing anymore because the cuts are passed. So that doesn't make any sense. And that's why personally, my mind for quarterback. I mean, we were both thinking quarterback. My mind goes more towards the young side, where it's like, well, if they're going to put a claim in, it'd be for a young guy because he has to fall into those categories. I thought that was on the table. And if they're saying Hooker needs to change of scenery, so be it. But they could still be interested in adding, because they never added any. And usually there's somebody at least in the fold. They don't even have a guy. There wasn't even a guy, and they didn't even practice a guy that was young this year at any point where they're like, hey, we can bring him back to the practice squad. And at least maybe there's some development things here. They didn't do it. They didn't do that with anybody. I mean, maybe that, and I don't know if he's still out there or not. Maybe the check can help me. But like last year, I mean, he brought up this year. He actually brought up this year, Jake Fromm. Like he brought him up. And I don't know that he's Jake Fromm's in that category. It's like,
he's
well, maybe eventually he could be a starter. Okay. So that's the kind of guy where in a weird way, he actually may fall more into your category, what you're saying, because he's just a free agent. They could just sign him. But that's where I think that gets interesting.
Yeah, otherwise you got to make a move because it's only him and Driscoll available right now as far as free agents, flat out free agents. So otherwise,
okay, so it's
a little pick or something.
No, I kind of like Driscoll. I mean, I kind of like Driscoll. God, I kind of liked him. Okay, but like, so again, I think we're in two different sides because I would be comfortable with Kyle right now. That said, though, I am open my mind now to the idea of I could see us trading for a backup. I could see it. I could see that being on the table. But I definitely think they're gonna. I would not be shocked at all if there's at least one quarterback that you find out the Lions put a claim in for. Whether they get him or not, I don't know because of how late they are. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if there's someone there like, oh, we kind of like that young guy. Let's at least throw our hat out there, just see if it's possible. Because we gave this one young guy this chance and it didn't work. But we gave nobody else a chance. We didn't bring him anybody. We didn't. I mean, nobody. I don't even think this year we brought in a player for tryouts. I don't think we brought in a quarterback to try out this year. It was very straightforward. These are the three. So it makes sense to put a new guy in that mix. Interesting. Okay. I guess we'll keep an eye on
Brad.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. I mean, we hit on a lot of things here.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to touch on before we wrap it up? Is there anybody else on this list? Chat, is there anybody else that we need to talk about that we didn't? Let us know.
Just a lot of names that, like I said, the practice squad is going to be interesting. You don't see a lot of these guys come back, but
safety for me was the one. I mean, not safety, but it was Eric Hallett.
Yeah, the Hallett and
Lauren Strickland.
Yeah,
for me,
Strickland.
Those were the two because I thought they were going to keep Hallett. They didn't, and then I started to think, well, maybe they're going to keep Strickland, and they didn't. So I think that's another one of those spots where it's like, I think they may put a claim in for somebody here, or safety is another one where it's actually, I guess this is where we kind of maybe flipped. Safety, I wouldn't be shocked if they're like, there's a veteran we're going to go sign. Like Mike Edwards got released today. I think that would be cool from Kansas City. But something like that could be. And there's also still free agents that are just available now where that spot could make. Like there could be a legitimate Za'Darius. Safety always has vets seemingly available. I haven't even looked. But I'm sure there's a vet that's just sitting there where that's actually one of those spots where they could do it. And I do believe that they could be. I don't know if Lauren comes back. I don't know if we are able to get him back. But Eric Hallett doesn't go through those. Eric Hallett doesn't, so he's just available, I believe. I do believe that they're pretty confident at least one of those two will be out there. If at worst, we're going to get one back, and there's going to be someone else that we're going to try to grab here at safety. We want to get better at safety if it can, but it can't. But at worst, we'll get one of those two back. And I think there's probably someone at safety they're going to go after.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if Brad Holmes did that. Because like I said, I mean, you look back, he is always going to get some guy that's just like, man, who is this? And then you turn out like, for instance, Amik Robertson. You know what I'm saying? When we got Amik Robinson, some people was like, who's Amik Robinson? Unless you watch the Raiders, you didn't know who he was. You know what I'm saying? So he'll find somebody. It's the three picks. I mean, the three spots, though, that are just like positions for me. Like, what positions are these spots? I know one of them is the defensive edge rusher. Yeah, we can't go into season with three edges like that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So
that might be a problem.
So one is definitely edge rusher, and I think we know who that might be. But
or they are very confident Marcus is playing every game. That's
man,
game. I mean, I don't know why we're not. What are we talking about?
Hutch, Marcus, and Muhammad. That's it.
You haven't seen Marcus Davenport's track record? I mean, of course, it's going to be available every game. So I don't know what you're talking about. But no, honestly, though, safety is one. So I just pulled it up real quick. Safety is one where it's like there's so many. I mean, I think Justice Simmons is still available. But Justice Simmons, Jordan Whitehead, Marcus Williams, John Johnson, Von Bell, Ryan Neal. Like there's veterans that are just sitting there. Like they could absolutely.
I'm all over sports track because of you.
See, that's one where it's like, yeah, there could very much still be a, and that maybe I don't know, maybe they trade for a safety. I mean, that could be. That's another one like quarterback. I could see a late pick getting thrown to a safety. It's like, oh, let's just see. Maybe there's someone out there that they're interested in.
Marcus Williams, Justin Simmons, Jordan Whitehead.
I mean, McLeod's a vet. Marcus May,
George Odom. You got.
There's some dudes there. There are some dudes.
Yeah, definitely some dudes there.
And now Mike Edwards gets in that mix.
Yeah, right.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a safety coming. There's a defensive end coming. We know who that is. But there might be another one. Might be. There's some dudes coming. This is actually more fun. You know what? I kind of like this, King. I'm kind of glad they left some spots open. Let's go add some dudes. Let's go add somebody. Let's go make a trade, Brad. Let's go do something. See, when they asked him that like, oh, like they always ask him about the trade for Hendrickson. Obviously, it didn't happen. What they should have asked him was, are you about to trade for a safety for a 7th round pick? Maybe. Like, I think that's happening, man. I'm now convinced it is going to happen.
Unless they're going to bring back the commish.
That would be fun. That would be fun. I mean, hey, look, I don't know. This dude's going through it. I mean, this guy medically retired, but I'm still with it.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering why he's on sports track as an unrestricted free agent still. Retired.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That is weird.
Preston Smith, DeMarcus Walker.
No, DeMarcus Walker was a guy that they did have they brought him in for a visit.
Yeah.
I forgot about DeMarcus Walker.
Yeah, it's a couple of guys on here.
We only kept 3. Even signing Za'Darius, though, realistically, 4 is not enough.
No, it's not. It's really not. And a lot of the veterans that's available on here, these are the guys at the latter stages of their careers. These are true vets because all of them are 30 to 32 years old. So
we signed Za'Darius and DeMarcus Walker. Now I'm feeling pretty good. And then we put a claim in for a young DB, maybe a quarterback. That's what I'm thinking. That'd be fun. That'd be pretty good. And that would kind of, pull everything together.
The rest of this week is going to be interesting, man, because like I said, we got to get somebody in here because before you know it, it'll be game time. So we need to get some guys on in here and get them acclimated. And yeah, Brad, let's do it.
All right. Well, I guess we'll leave it there. I'm going to throw you on the spot, though, real quick, though, just because, I mean, you probably named it. But biggest surprise, cut or keep? Biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise, cut or keep?
Mm-hmm.
It was just Meeks for me, man. I just knew he was going to make the team. Like, what did he not show you?
I think that was,
you know,
that's what I've seen everywhere.
For me, it's just been Meeks. It's like, what are we doing? I would say he's my biggest.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it because they kept Lovett?
It was Skipper at first, but I'm going to go with Meeks because Skipper, like I said, after we talked about it, I can kind of see what the Detroit Lions are maybe thinking. But then, like I said, with Meeks, it's just like, why?
But do you think that's because they also said we're keeping Lovett? Or do you because, like, say they cut Lovett 2, then they'd be at 5. They'd be like, oh, okay, well, I guess they weren't keeping anybody. They were very clear on who their 5 were. So is it more so because they kept Lovett, or was it just didn't matter? I don't know why they cut Meeks.
It's just, for me, it's just like I feel like he did enough. Period.
Like you thought they should have kept 7 at that point. Like, keep 7.
Yeah, I just feel like he just did enough, man. And I'm not gonna be honest about it. Most of it is because of Lovett. Like we kept Lovett and we cut Meeks. What are we doing? But come on, bro. It's like, I mean, I was down about Skipper. You know what I'm saying? I actually love Skipper as a person. Him and his wife are really, really cool people. But like I said, it makes a little bit of sense since we talked about it. So Meeks, I'm gonna have to go with Meeks.
Hopefully no one claims him. I would love to have him back.
Yeah.
I would love to have him back. I mean, you know what? If we're going young anyway, Meeks can be the new Tom Kennedy.
And see, this is why he's asked me to be on the show. But let me read this real quick from Easy. If I'm not mistaken, injury settlements can take 6 to 8 weeks. I hope Hassanan, if I say his name right, because I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
get shredded about that.
Hassanin.
Yeah, Hassanin, whatever it is. Returns to the Detroit Lions. I selfishly wanted him to be the journeyman and unfold in Honolulu Blue. So yes, that's kind of what I read early. I think he read what I read about the settlement situation, where after that period, after a certain period, he's available
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
Detroit
They can
Lions
bring him back.
to bring him
Yeah.
back. So yeah, I said that's a little bit more comforting,
Yeah,
right?
no, they can definitely bring him back. And I don't know if there's a rule to it, but I think there also may be a rule where you have to wait weeks after the
Yeah,
injury settlement
and that's what they talk
once he
about.
gets healthy. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the waiting period that I'm talking about. So, like
So
I
and
said, he
this
was a
is why
developmental guy anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he was going to see the field too often anyway. So
that's kind of why, like, after the injury, why I think I kind of just think they're looking at your one. It's like, yeah, he's not going to play anyway. Like, even if he
right.
comes back, he wasn't going to play this year. So
Mhm.
I still don't love that I just don't like that there's a risk that they might not get him back. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't want to do that. Like,
yeah.
let's just make no risk. But it sounds like they're making some moves. It sounds like DeMarcus Walker and Za'Darius are about to be Lions. And it sounds like there's going to be a young guy coming in. I think we've solved it. We found out what's going on.
The Los Angeles Chargers have released quarterback
Herbert.
Taylor
Oh,
Heineke.
see, that's a good one. I like that. I would be with that. I would be very with that. Yo,
Yeah,
we just figured out the Lions roster. We know the 53.
right.
This is good. This is why I'm glad we did this. Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna be interesting these next couple of days.
Yeah, we're gonna get some good stuff. Oh, by the way, Brian Branson on the top 100.
Yeah,
Was that a joke? Or did
that's
that
murder.
actually happen?
That's murder, man. Like, what is happening here? That's blasphemous, man.
That's
But I
crazy.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that means he's going to be an absolute murderer this season. I love it because players use that and they hold that up here in the athlete's mind.
Oh,
I'm
Brian
finna go
Branch,
out here.
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm finna go out here and
Yeah,
show everybody.
he sat in the green room when he didn't go first round. He waited.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
They use that as motivation, man. So anytime something
Brian's gonna
like
be
that happens to a Lions player, I love it. I
that is
love it, man.
crazy though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's you know what? It might be like the dudes that constantly like the guy. I mean, look, I could see why a receiver would have 0 votes for Branch. Like, I didn't like getting
Yeah.
hit by that guy. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, Branch is a little different. I wouldn't want to get hit by that dude either. I get it. It's crazy work though.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're out of here. That's the first episode of the Lions Roundtable. Unless was there anything else you want to hit on? Or are we good?
No, we're good, man. We're good.
We're good, man. Lions Roundtable. Episode, whatever it is. We'll call it episode 1, though, officially on the official channel.
Mhm.
And this starts the beginning. Something of the sea. I mean, shoot, man, we're right to it. We're gonna have a preview at some point next week. I don't know what Thursday is gonna look like. We'll figure it out. There's a lot going on, man. We're here. I know we have someone coming on that will be a part of the show as August ends. So I guess starting next week, we have a new guest and maybe another one. We'll see. But I know there's gonna be one. So
Yeah.
leave it
It's
there.
about to get fun.
We're out, man.
Yeah.
We also got to get an outro. So if you build an outro and you make one, you're like, oh, this is cool. Just send it over. Because I'll use it. You know, and I'm talking to the chat. Chat wants to make something cool. Just send it.
Right.
We'll use it. You know, we got no problem with that. All right, we're out of here. We'll see y'all
All right.
Thursday, 8 p.m. Yeah.